Our top story, a local mother missing for 4 months is finally laid to rest. Andreen McDonald never made it to work on Friday, March 1st. On July 11th, her charred remains were found on private property. McDonald's husband has been charged in her murder and remains in jail. Eyewitness News reporter Mariah Medina was at today's memorial and spoke with Andreen's family.
It was just after noon when a sheriff's deputy stepped into the McDonald home and stopped cold. The house was silent, no sign of a struggle, no shattered glass, but the details told a different story. A faint, rusty smear on the bedroom light switch. Strands of hair where they shouldn't be. And outside, in the backyard of this perfect suburban home, a fire pit still warm, its ashes clinging to the zipper of a woman's blouse. Her husband, a decorated U.S. Air Force major, said she was at the hospital. But within minutes, deputies would discover that was a lie. From that moment on, the search for Andreen McDonald would pull this picture-perfect family into a spiral of secrets, betrayal, and a truth darker than anyone imagined. Long before her name made headlines, Andreen Nicole McDonald was known for something entirely different: her drive. Born in Jamaica in 1989, she was the kind of person who never stopped moving toward a goal. Friends described her as determined, resourceful, and fiercely loyal to the people she loved. In her 20s, she left the island for the United States, chasing opportunities most only dreamed about. She studied hard, worked harder, and built a reputation as a young woman who could turn an idea into a reality. In 2009, she met Andreen McDonald, a focused, ambitious officer in the U.S. Air Force. On the surface, they seemed like a perfect match: disciplined military precision paired with entrepreneurial fire. They married, started a family, and soon, Andreen founded Starlight Homes, a senior care business that exploded in success. The business brought them wealth, but to Andreen, it meant more than money. It was proof that her sacrifices, her long nights, and her vision had been worth it. She wasn't just building a company, she was building a legacy for her daughter, Elena. Those closest to her say she was always in motion, whether organizing charity events, traveling for work, or calling family back in Jamaica just to check in. But beneath the polished image of the McDonald's life, there were shadows forming. And by the time anyone realized how deep they ran, it was already too late. To the outside world, Andreen and Andreen McDonald looked like a power couple. A thriving business, a beautiful home in the quiet suburbs of San Antonio, a daughter they adored. It was the kind of life people envied. But behind closed doors, that picture-perfect image began to blur. Friends noticed subtle changes first. Andreen's once bright smile sometimes seemed forced, her voice carrying an edge of exhaustion. She confided to a few trusted friends that her marriage wasn't as stable as it looked. Andree's military discipline, the same quality that had attracted her years ago, now felt more like cold distance. Arguments, once rare, became more frequent. Andreen told friends they were about money, about time, about trust. There were whispers of infidelity. And though Andreen never confirmed it outright, those close to her could tell the suspicion weighed on her. At times, she hinted that she was preparing for a different future, one that might not include her husband. Still, she stayed focused on her business, her daughter, and the life she'd built. On social media, she posted smiling photos, carefully curated moments that made everything look fine. But friends knew better. One recalled, she was strong, but she wasn't happy. And whether she realized it or not, the tension in that house was about to cross a dangerous line. It was a chilly February evening in San Antonio, 2019. Andreen McDonald had a busy day, clients to see, errands to run, and plans to be home with her daughter that night. But by the next morning, she was simply gone. The first sign that something was off came when Andreen didn't show up for work. For a woman known for her reliability, that was completely out of character. Her phone went straight to voicemail, and texts went unanswered. Friends started to worry, and their concern grew when they couldn't reach her through her husband either. Andreen seemed calm, too calm, telling some people she was just taking a break. But that explanation didn't match the Andreen they knew. Soon, friends began knocking on her door. What they found inside raised more questions than answers. Her car was still in the driveway, her purse and ID inside the house, and her daughter left in Andre's care. And yet, no Andreen. One friend recalled the moment the pit formed in her stomach. This wasn't her. She wouldn't just walk away from her little girl. By evening, the worry had tipped into panic. Calls were made to police. An official missing persons report was filed. And what began as a mystery was about to turn into a full-scale search, one that would expose more than anyone was ready to see. When police arrived at the McDonald home, the first thing they noticed was how normal everything seemed, at least on the surface. But detectives know, the truth rarely sits in plain sight. They began with Andre. His answers felt rehearsed. He insisted Andreen had just stormed out after an argument. No big deal. She'd be back. But in a missing person case, every minute matters, and investigators weren't convinced. Then came the first crack in the facade. Officers spotted something in the couple's bedroom, a faint stain on the floor, hastily cleaned but not gone. In the bathroom trash, they found a torn receipt from a store dated just hours before Andreen vanished, listing bleach, heavy-duty trash bags, gloves, and a burn barrel. Surveillance footage confirmed it. Andre himself had bought the items. From that moment, the case shifted from, "Where is Andreen?" to, "What happened to her?" Search teams combed the surrounding areas. Dogs were brought in. Neighbors were questioned. And as word spread through San Antonio, fear and suspicion rippled through the community. Still, there was no sign of Andreen's body. No confirmed evidence of a crime scene. Just a trail of troubling purchases, and a husband whose story didn't hold steady under pressure. Detectives knew the key was out there. They just had to find it before time, and evidence, slipped away for good. Days turned into weeks, and the community's hope began to fray. Flyers with Andreen's smile faded in the Texas sun. Her family's pleas for answers grew more desperate. Then, a farmer outside of San Antonio noticed something strange while checking his land, an isolated patch of ground, freshly disturbed. The soil looked wrong, as if someone had tried to cover something in a hurry. Sheriff's deputies arrived and began to dig. Just a few inches down, they hit a layer of charred material, blackened clothing, metal zipper teeth, and beneath it, something no one wanted to see. Bones. Small. Fragile. Burned. DNA testing confirmed the unthinkable. The remains were Andreen McDonald. It wasn't just the discovery of her body that shook investigators, it was the condition it was found in. Someone had gone to great lengths to destroy every trace of her, using fire and chemicals, almost as if trying to erase her from existence. And yet, in those ashes, there was enough truth left to speak for her. This was no missing persons case anymore. This was murder. And every trail led straight back to one man. When deputies arrived at Andreen McDonald's home with a warrant, they weren't greeted by surprise, they were greeted by silence. No protests. No confusion. Just a man sitting at his kitchen table, staring at the wall, as if he'd been expecting them all along.
Yay!
Yeah, Andreen, coming up to that personal record, fixing it.
Yeah,
What are we doing?
13% body fat.
Dang, girl. Good job, Dream. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Inside the house, investigators found what they'd suspected for months: receipts for shovels, an axe, heavy-duty gloves, and 50-gallon containers of gasoline. Nearby was a burned pile, scorched earth where something large had once been destroyed. Neighbors recalled seeing Andre late at night, carrying bags into the backyard. Bags heavy enough to need dragging. In the interrogation room, detectives didn't need to shout. They just laid the photos on the table, the tools, the burned ground, the bones in the farmer's field. For hours, Andre said nothing. But when they told him about the DNA results, his composure cracked. His voice, low and almost emotionless, finally admitted what everyone feared. It had been an argument. It had gotten out of hand. And when it was over, Andreen was gone. No tears. No regret. Just a cold statement, as if removing her from his life had been as ordinary as taking out the trash. With that, the man who had once vowed to protect her was now charged with her murder, and the community that had searched for Andreen now had a new mission, to see justice done. The courtroom was silent the day Andreen McDonald walked in, dressed in a suit but wearing the same blank expression he'd carried since his arrest. Every seat was filled, family members clutching tissues, friends of Andreen holding hands, strangers from the community who had searched those endless fields, all there for one reason, to hear the truth spoken in public. The prosecution painted a chilling picture, not of a sudden, tragic accident, but of a man who planned to erase his wife from his life completely. They displayed the receipts, the burned pile photographs, and the fragments of bone. They played recordings of his cold, calculated words to detectives. Andreen's loved ones sat through every detail, their faces breaking as the reality was laid bare. For them, the trial wasn't just about punishment, it was about reclaiming her story from the man who tried to silence it. After days of testimony, the jury filed back in. The foreman stood. The words came slowly, but they hit like a hammer. Guilty of murder. Some sobbed. Others exhaled in relief. And in that moment, Andreen McDonald's fate was sealed, life in prison. No more quiet stares from across a kitchen table. No more freedom to burn away the evidence of his crimes. Outside the courthouse, Andreen's family embraced, knowing justice had come, not enough to bring her back, but enough to make sure her name would never be buried again. Andreen McDonald's story is not just about the brutal way her life was taken, it's about the quiet warning signs that were ignored, the moments where help could have come, but didn't. It's about a woman who built a life from nothing, who loved her daughter fiercely, and who deserved to grow old surrounded by the people she cherished. Her friends still keep her memory alive, speaking her name at events, sharing her photographs, laughing about her quirks. Her daughter, now older, carries the warmth of a mother's love that even death couldn't erase. But the truth is, Andreen's case is far from rare. Every year, countless women vanish, and the people who once promised to love them are the ones who decide they won't live another day. If you take anything from her story, let it be this. When someone's light starts to dim because of the person closest to them, notice it, speak up, act. You may not just be changing their life. You might be saving it. Because silence doesn't just protect secrets. Sometimes, it buries people with them.